Right now, we're going to carry on with looking at some of those barriers to employment. And I'm going to talk about something called the social model of disability. So quite often, well, actually, we can look at disability in a number of different lenses or perspectives. And historically, you will find that disability and neurodivergence in particular is measured or identified in terms of the medical model of disability, which essentially means there's something wrong with you that needs to be fixed or cured. That's the basics of it. That's not the detail, but there we go. It has its place in terms of diagnosis, etc. Needs to come from a point, but more recently, a model of looking at the world in a different way in terms of the social model of disability can help, particularly help in understanding how we can create barriers as a society because of our attitudes, because of the environments that we create, and because of the organizational barriers that we have. And within this small slide, you can see that there are different barriers that will present themselves for disabled individuals. And there are some really interesting videos, funny videos, but they make you think about things in a different perspective on the internet around. There's one video which is the world, a country that is designed by wheelchair users, and so all the doors are lower, and the non-wheelchair users who stand up have to stoop everywhere, and they end up with a back problem. And it just looks at it from a different point of view, that our society, we create these barriers sometimes. So in terms of the workplace, you will have barriers in terms of attitudes, our stereotyping, the way we have unconscious bias about thinking about different people, our discrimination and prejudice. It will happen. And Dulcie has an amazing diversity and inclusion perspective and training course around everyday allyship. And Dulcie, can I bring you in at this point? If you have anything to add around things in terms of our attitudes and that social model of disability.
Where in particular? I could go on for another 90 minutes.
I know.
Yeah, I think it is really important to recognise how a lot of disability comes from the way society disables someone else and not to do with the individual's condition, and how we can make massive changes that benefit everybody by having wider diversity in all kinds of ways, neurodiversity and otherwise.
Yeah, thank you. In terms of organisational barriers, we might be inflexible in our policies and processes and our recruitment processes. We might be inflexible around our procedures. Oh no, computer says you have to do this and you have to fill in this form. And a dyslexic candidate for a job application might find it very difficult to use a online application form, and so may not fill it in completely at all. In fact, I had a person on a webinar a while ago who used to work for Royal Mail, and he said when we were recruiting, if there were any spelling mistakes in an application form or a CV, you just threw it away. You never looked at it at all. Now that could be screening out an incredible employee, an incredible candidate who might be dyslexic. It just bears thinking about. So just think about this social model of disability when we're thinking about neurodiversity, and that if we do look at removing barriers, we remove them for everyone. It isn't just one group of people, it's everyone. Okay. I mentioned that that slide earlier about the recruitment, the life cycle of an employee, and there are barriers at every single step of the way, on recruitment, on forms, on the way we write job adverts, on the language that we use. Must be flexible, must be a great communicator, must be able to drive even. can we think about these things in terms of being responsible and diverse employers? What can we do to change the language that we use in some of our recruitment processes and our recruitment adverts? In terms of performance and working with individuals, we do have to challenge ourselves quite a lot around our own unconscious bias, our own expectations. I think internalized ableism comes into play quite a lot. Dulcie, would you be able to explain internalized ableism for us?
I feel like I'm on a pop quiz.
Sorry.
That's all right. I get points after.
Yeah.
Thanks. So internalized ableism comes because we grow up in a society feeding us a certain way of being. It is the best way to try and be. And if you have a disability that means you can never reach those expectations, you have very low self-esteem and confidence about who you are. And then that comes out in the way you behave towards other people who might have disabilities as well.
We try to fit in, it's trying to mask, it's trying to achieve those things that you think you should. And sometimes it takes a lot to unpack all of that, and our trauma that we will have been through in life sometimes will have a significant effect on how somebody might perform in the workplace. That they may act in a certain way or present in a certain way and say yes to things when actually it's going against every fibre of their being to do the thing in the way that they've been asked to do it. I see you nodding, Dulcie.
Yeah, because I'm going to say my two favourite words that I think we should remove from the English language, which are shame and guilt, and that kind of feeds into that. The shoulds, right? We should be able to do it, and I feel ashamed if I can't, or guilty if I have to ask for more time, and all of those things.
Yeah. And I could go on for a long time about this particular slide, but I'm not going to, because I know I've got more to get through.